Welcome back to The Watch, and strap in, ladies and gents, because the things we're going to say in this episode review, honestly, if I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't believe it. It is very much Rise of Skywalker level of like, no, surely not. They wouldn't do that.
Positive or negative, though? Because
Negative.
I think positive.
You think...
Yep.
Oh, we're differing sides on this.
Yep.
Anyways, okay, cool.
Well, let's give it a number right out the gate. What would you give it?
Like a 2.
I'd give it like an 8.
For this episode?
For this episode.
You're giving it an 8?
I'm giving it an 8.
Wow. Okay.
I'm going to make my points very clear, very concise. What do you want to do? Do you want to... I'm just
quick
talking
summary,
about,
I think.
A quick summary?
Oh, okay.
But even that has spoilers, so like...
I think it's a non-spoiler review. My opinion is that this is more fan service for Rebels and Clone Wars, but in terms of a story with substance, we're still in the same train track of just like it's slow, drawn out. Yeah. I'm not feeling any connection to characters. And you'd think, even if I hadn't seen any of the other stuff, episode 5 now, I should feel some emotion for these people. And
This is okay. So this is
I don't.
So I think that's very fair. If you are like the Ahsoka part, this is Ahsoka series.
Yeah,
nothing still really hasn't happened. Genuinely, nothing really has happened. However, this one has a lot more, like you said, fan service, but there's more to it than that, which is what brings it up for me. But then when we stop doing that and we get back to the Ahsoka story part, it gets worse.
It gets worse. Yes,
this is why it's a very mixed bag, but I've seen things today that I thought I would never see in my lifetime.
This is true.
So this is very important to me. And I was like, okay. I don't care about the rest of the series. I know I'm not going to, I know there's going to be things that is going to be ridiculous as this, because this was pretty ridiculous. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, I got something that I never ever thought I would get. So.
Yeah. But I also feel like it's a double-edged sword, because it's like, okay, you're happy you got that thing that everyone's been asking for, but also, wouldn't it be better to have been given it sooner, better quality, and not just it be like there's this TV show that no one's really going to watch. Let's insert this thing so people actually enjoy it more. If you took that away, the substance of the show is not there.
100%. Like how we get to what I liked, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Absurd.
But what I got, I was like, okay, that also made me reflect and go like, why wasn't this in Kenobi?
Exactly.
This opens up a lot of really bad things, but at the same time, like I got something that I never thought I would see. So, okay. Let's discuss. Do you want to get into the spoilers?
Let's do so that's non-spoiler review section of it. Let's kind of like break down the story for those who haven't seen it, and then give our opinions.
In a non-spoiler way. I feel like the best way to describe this is if you're a Rebels fan, you're probably going to love it. If you're a Clone Wars fan, I think you'll really love it. But if you're looking for cohesive story, it's basically just the same as the other episodes. Like the story is still really
still a
slow
Disney Plus Star Wars show. Like it's drawn out, slow, and
But I would say I'm confident in saying this is the best Disney Star Wars I have ever seen. I can say that. There is not a single other episode or movie that Star Wars has done where I thought I liked it better.
See, for me, I think Mando Season 1, I actually enjoyed more than this.
Yes.
And I felt more of a connection. With this one, I'm trying to get invested in Ahsoka and these characters.
Right, but I'm just looking at as a fan who's watched everything else. I'm looking at this episode in conjunction with everything else. I'm not looking at this as an isolated thing.
Sure.
Because you really cannot enjoy this as an isolated standalone thing. This is a thing where you very much have to know lots of things.
I just have getting into that Marvel sense now. Like, you got to watch these other 6 seasons of the show.
Yeah, we're way past that.
Like,
we're already past that.
I hate it.
But did you want to get into spoilers now?
Sure. So we open up with Hera basically searching the planet with her son, and the X-Wing fighter pilots and stuff doing searches, not finding anything. Yep. And then eventually,
that giant ship that, remember, left last one, they didn't think to look there.
They didn't think, where did they go? That giant ship that killed like half our squadron. Like, I don't know what happened to, where's Sabine? And then eventually her son's like, Mother, don't you hear? Don't you hear it in the ocean? And then you have this whole thing of like, I hear, and then we go back to where we ended the last episode with Ahsoka and Anakin in the world between worlds.
And I don't even care about any of the Ahsoka stuff. I just want to talk about what happens in the world between worlds. We get full on Clone Wars, live action, Anakin and Ahsoka.
Flashbacks. Well, not flashbacks, visions.
Yeah,
visions.
visions. Yeah, I'd say visions. Like a stuff that happened mixed with stuff that didn't happen. And I loved it. It was the only thing that like kept my attention. Everything else, I was like, oh God, oh God. But that, I was like, yep, I want more. I want more. I want more. I just want that, Nathan. I want that, please. Please, Nathan. I want that.
See, you're begging for it, and you got this little scrap, and you're like,
but we got
Clone Wars live action.
To
Delicious.
put it completely into perspective, we got Hayden Christensen and a young Ahsoka in Clone Wars. Literally in Clone Wars.
In live action, yes.
In live action, and I loved it. And because for the story aspect, for people who are curious what the story aspect is. Now, like I said at the start, how we get there and how we get back from here is super stupid. But what we get in the vision and stuff makes complete sense, and I dig it. First off, he's trying to teach Ahsoka that there's more to the training. It's not just about being a warrior. And I think that's what she had forgotten, and that's what he was trying to teach her. And she realizes this by the end, and because they're basically going through her past, when they're on the battlefield in the Clone Wars, when they're in the Siege of Mandalore, stuff like that. Now to sidetrack a bit, because there was just a hilarious moment in between it where I laughed out loud because it was. I don't think it was meant to be funny, but it's just hilarious.
It is funny.
It's hilarious.
You're hearing it from his mouth. Like,
basically, young Ahsoka she's half forgetting what's happened and half remembering, and there's a point where she realizes, she goes, "You just want me to be a killing machine, blah blah blah." And Ahsoka and Anakin goes, "But you're more than that." And then she goes, "But you're not. You killed more, blah blah." And Anakin basically goes, "Are we still on this? Like, are we really going to talk about it?"
he probably, see, in my head, because this is all the headcanon I'm getting from, like, that line, I'm thinking he's in the, like, Force world. And everyone's like, all the kids are like, "You killed us." And he's like, "I apologize already, guys, okay? I'm not cancelled anymore. I'm back to the light side. Leave me be."
That's
like,
exactly how it came off.
That's how it feels.
It came off as like, "Oh, I'm saying I'm sorry." Seriously, guys.
What else could I do? I can't bring them back.
Look, I loved it. I just thought it was hilarious. I don't know, like, I thought it was hilarious. It was just a funny moment to me. But basically, he switches between light and dark, like he did in life, and they have a fight and stuff like that. And then at the end, she realizes that I'm not going to let my anger take me, and she chooses to live. And then he goes, "Good job, Snips." That was the test for the most part. And then I loved this entire sequence. Genuinely, I love this entire sequence. This was not scraps, Nathan. This was some stuff, man.
Nah, I didn't feel it.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't feel it.
Okay.
I honestly...
we can disagree on this
We can
point.
disagree on it, because I just felt like... a few things with this. I don't know where to start, though, because it's really hard with these visions. For example, in Kenobi, we could have had some really good flashbacks to I agree.
Everything you're going to say right now
the
about
substance
Kenobi,
there was basically them just doing a single training in the temple.
I agree.
And in this one, I feel like the same thing's happening in the sense of, like, we kind of see it with Ahsoka when she's talking with Sabine about, training and all this other stuff, and she's got a cloudy history or whatever. And we've kind of also seen it in Mandalorian when she's like, "Oh, I can't try." We're seeing Ahsoka's character right now. She's like struggling.
Right.
I get that. But I feel like there was so much. Maybe it's because I'm not as into the animated series as everyone else is, and so everyone's more invested.
Which one are we talking about?
Both of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, in terms of these series, like I've watched Clone Wars, Rebels I've picked up and put down several times just because there's just certain things.
We don't need to talk about Rebels just yet.
Yeah,
because we'll get to that.
Yeah,
we will get to.
We'll get to that. But like, Rebels has Ahsoka in it, and so a lot of her story and struggle with Anakin, especially, is very apparent in Rebels. In this, I was seeing what they were doing, but again, I don't know if it's the execution or if I'm just not caring enough. When I watched it, I didn't feel anything. When Anakin was talking to Ahsoka,
that seems like a kind of you thing.
Like,
I'm gonna be honest here. It seems like that might be just a you thing.
Feel as much. Like when I watched the Clone Wars anime, like the movie, for example, I felt stuff when they were having connection. Maybe
it just might be apathy has set in too much. Genuinely, like
And I just felt like maybe as a viewer watching it, it just felt like an insert from, I like Star Wars, so they're going to bring me...
Okay, this is where I think we agree on it. Because, okay, so let me move that. We've gotten the flashback bit, and I love the flashback bit. But we've got to discuss how we got there and how we get back. Because this is where it's stupid. In the last episode...
I actually think that this is probably what's ruining it for me. Because the path that it's led to here,
yes,
I'd feel so ripped off that they're just kind of, you have the straight line of a plot and they're diverting it so much to try and get to this flashback point. Like, I think I would have felt more had it been like, Hera was like, so your master, can you tell me about him? And then like Ahsoka does this little thought thing and then we fade into a past vision. Yeah. Maybe I would have felt more that way. I think maybe it was because the way we got there was so convoluted and annoying.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we get there. So last episode of the review, we discussed what happens.
Yeah.
Basically, she gets defeated by Balin. That's it, right? Balin or Baelor? I can't remember.
You're asking the wrong person.
Balin. And she falls off a cliff into the ocean. We don't see her fall into the ocean, but she falls off the cliff and... Obviously, she's not dead. It's her show. And she wakes up in the world between worlds and Anakin is there. That's how it ended in the last episode.
Yeah.
Getting to that point is stupid. It just is. I'm sorry. You fall off some cliffs and you're just in the world between worlds. The reason why this is stupid and the reason why your brain kind of thinks it's cool, because if any Jedi then is in near death, why don't they just magic into the world between worlds? And this is like a thing. It's like, well, a lot of the explanations in this are just because magic. And I feel like that's a really big issue.
Yeah.
Especially when this is why I don't like the world between worlds. And the other thing in this, which we'll get to, like you fall off a cliff and boom, magic.
Yeah.
You're just in another place. And then when you're in the world between worlds, you can forgive it more because you understand that you're in a place that is magical. Oh, I hate saying that because it's supposed to be the Force, but it's just magic at this point.
Yes.
So it's more forgiving there. But even then, you still kind of like...
The way that she got there was like, okay, she got defeated.
Yep.
Okay, and therefore now it's at her low point and she's...
And so, that's how she gets there. Then there's the flashbacks that I love that you didn't feel too good about. And then we get to how she gets out of there. And this is where it also becomes stupid. So we get there, stupid, and how she gets out, stupid. And this is the issue with it. It's bookended by stupidity.
Yeah.
How does she get out, Nathan?
As in, how does she escape? Well, she sees a vision, and then
Anakin's like, "Good job."
And then water starts coming up, and then she's basically been drowning for 12 hours.
Yes,
in the ocean.
And this is important. How do we know it was like 12 hours? Because you can guess.
When we start the show again, it's daytime. Hera's looking.
Yep.
And then when they find Ahsoka, it's nighttime.
When they pull her out of the water.
Yeah.
She was under the water.
The whole time.
Yep. So when they pull her out of the water, it's nighttime. So we know that it's been about 12 hours. So this is stupid on so many different levels. First off, if she really was in the world between worlds, that's stupid because the answer is because magic. She just fell off the cliff
the
and
Force
magic
protected her.
Yeah. And the other answer to this question is if it was all just in her mind, that's also stupid because then she was under the water for 12 hours.
Yeah.
Stupid. So this is bookended by stupidity. But the actual flashbacks themselves, 10 out of 10. Loved them. Just how we get there and we get back is terrible.
I think I'm too nitpicky.
That's fine.
I'm too nitpicky.
That's fine.
Young Ahsoka, I was just like, I know it's live action, they're adapting it, but there's just certain things like,
Yeah, it's fine.
And because it was visionary, this is the one thing that also annoyed me. Because it was a vision, the whole flashbacks were in this cloudy, foggy, dusty environment.
Oh, I'm less, because I think they were in Geonosis when they first started.
Yeah, but then they're also on Mandalore.
Yeah, and everything's blowing up and there's dust everywhere.
I would have liked a more clear vision, and I would have... it just felt like it was on a set, and they had the two characters. Again, it didn't feel real.
Yeah, sure. But so that's basically where the episode was about halfway, a little bit over halfway.
We were both concerned because we were like, "Oh, okay, that's the episode." I was concerned because I was like, "That's it. That's all we're progressing."
All that's happened, though, if we're being honest here, all that's actually happened in the episode is Hera's arrived. They start looking for Ahsoka. Ahsoka has her visions, and that's about
halfway,
a bit over halfway. Then we actually get back to the Ahsoka story. So before all the vision stuff, and it's boring. I'm kind of bored with it. Should we talk about the whales?
We'll get to the whales, but can we just...
because the next story point is she looks up and says whales. Like, it's the whales are the next point.
There's also supposed to mention, how you just took her hair thingy off and you freaked out.
Let's not talk
You don't want to bring that up.
I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, you can see the connection between her face and stuff. And Tyranth didn't like it because it was unnatural.
Because it looks unnatural.
Yeah. So she basically she's on a sleep. She's on her ship and she's been asleep for one cycle,
which is probably like a day.
It is a day. And so she wakes up and they're like, "So, can you tell us where Sabine is?" And she's like, "I don't know. Let me get this compass watch thingy and use the Force and figure out." And so she does a little, Star Wars Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Yeah.
Goes through, sees the Sabine, went with them. That's the correct way of saying it.
So the interesting thing about the Force ability, right, is I've always thought that Force abilities were unique and individual. Like there were some Jedi who could have like the same thing.
And there was standard like Force abilities, like, pushing and pulling things.
Pushing, like enhancing physical abilities. They're all basic stuff that everybody has.
Yeah.
But more unique abilities like reading memories or I think Mace Windu's Shadow Point. Things like that are kind of more unique to individuals.
Like gifts to a Jedi.
Not that other people can't have that gift as well, but it's like not everybody has it, is the deal. But these days, it's kind of just like, if you see someone have a Force ability, just assume that everybody can do that.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't
like the fact that it was just now introduced that Ahsoka to do this thing. Like,
could do it, yeah.
She could have done this and solved so many other issues.
I'm trying to think if she's ever done it before. Is there any other point? Keep going.
But yeah, I just how they introduce this. And I understand why they introduce in the games, because that helps you build context with a character that hasn't been and visited things and whatever. But for Ahsoka, I feel like, I don't know, they were just looking through the list of Force abilities and like, yes, reading memories and stuff. Maybe she's imprinted on the compass.
Echoes.
Yeah. So I was like, can you think of any other times that she's done this?
I think she did it okay, let me rephrase this. She did it in one of the first or second episodes.
Right.
With the droids or whatever, I think.
Okay.
Or did she use the cameras? Either way, I think she did it in the first or second episode. But I'm talking about like not in this show. I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Yeah.
There might have been, I just can't remember any. But does the Force echo? They realize that she was on the ship. So how does she go to... Now, I forgot this. I forgot this. From my memory, I forgot this. And like we've said it before, I'm not a fan of Rebels. I don't like a lot of the things that Rebels introduced. I don't like flying helicopter lightsabers. I don't like time travel world between worlds. And I don't like hyperspace whales. I don't like this, Nathan.
We can all agree on this then.
I
agree strongly with you on all these elements.
So I guess you guys should understand where we're going with this.
Yeah.
It's a Moby Dick situation.
Yeah.
That's the right one, isn't it? Pinocchio, Moby Dick? Or maybe that's not right.
Maybe that's not right. No.
Whichever one where they go in the whale eats them. Basically, Ahsoka uses Force to speak to the whale, and then the whale opens its mouth, and she flies into the whale's mouth, and then all the whales jump to hyperspace,
You heard it here first. These whales...
I'm not joking either.
For some reason, they just migrate to this planet in the clouds, and then when they're done, they go into space, and then they hyperspace to a different galaxy.
I've got to be fair about this. So they introduced these space whales in Clone Wars, and I wasn't the biggest fan of them, but I didn't really like. I didn't like it, but it wasn't like the biggest deal either. Then in Rebels, and I had forgotten this. I forgot that they can jump to hyperspace, which is just, I hate that so much. So the whales can jump to hyperspace. How? Magic. Like
evolution.
They have hyperdrive.
Evolution.
They have hyperdrive. They literally have hyperdrives though.
If you can survive in its mouth, that's the most affordable. Why do you have ships? Just have a giant whale and live in its mouth. It ruins so much of the world of Star Wars. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't care who says what's canon, whatever. This is stupid.
It is stupid.
I hate.
Yeah, I forgot that this was
Force jumping.
Magic hyperdrives.
Magic
hyperdrive whales. Yeah,
it's so dumb. Yeah. Also,
and that's where the episode ends.
That's
like genuine. So this entire episode is Hera comes to the planet. Ahsoka has a flashback. They get in the whale's mouth and jump to hyperspace. That is the synopsis of this episode.
Yes.
What was the episode before this? They went to the planet. They had a fight scene. Hera came to the planet. End of episode.
Yeah.
Like, this is the synopsis of the story so far. When you simplify it down to what's actually happened,
Yeah, not much.
not much has happened.
And can I just say, Hera is not a very good leader in this. She's been quite there's
It's
just
funny.
the things she says and does. Like they'll circle this one area that the ship is at, and they'll be like, oh, "Where did they go? I can't find them." And she says this over and over.
But I
and
feel
each
like-
time they're all pilots.
I feel like we've been over all these little things that are just kind of dumb.
But there's just things where the pilot's like, "Hey, the Republic, they're here now. What do you want me to do?" And she's like, "Just stall them. I don't care what you do. Just." She is actually quite frustrating as a character, I think.
Or as a leader. It's supposed to be a leader. And the issue is like when Mon Mothma goes like, Hera, you need to come back because they're going to fire you. And she goes, what? They're
What do
going
you
to
mean?
fire me?
My job's in jeopardy because I disobeyed orders?
Yeah.
But I'm a general!
It's little things like that.
Senator, I'm a general.
But that's basically the full episode. Like, that's the story. Not much has happened. But I got some really, 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 really amazing flashbacks with Anakin, with Hayden Christensen and young Ahsoka, and clone troops and the Siege of Mandalore. I got some cool stuff today.
I just, no, there's other things I'm just not, like, her son, is it Jason?
Yeah.
Is that his name? When he's talking with the droid and he's like, oh, can I train? No. Can I build a lightsaber? No. I'm like, bro, he used the Force to find Ahsoka, and everyone's like, nah, bro, you can't, you're not going to be a Jedi. No. Also, why doesn't Ahsoka train him? Because he's like at that ripe. Anakin was too old, but apparently this guy, can use the Force and find Ahsoka. No, don't train him.
Stop asking me questions I don't know the answer.
Like, but there's these just plot summary things, and I'm just like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
It's nonsense. It doesn't feel like we're going through a journey. It feels like we have a point A and point B, and we're going through this windy road to try and get, a little bit of fan service, making sure that we can
So
go to
this is the
hyperdrive,
thing,
like
like-
all this other stuff.
Why didn't they just use the whales to jump to hyperspace again? Way before any of this kicked off. Why didn't Sabine just,
Use it.
yeah,
Go
just-
back to the whales and be like, hey, can you find my friend Ezra? And
Yeah.
they're like, They're just,
That's it. Do you want to take us out? Because that's everything, guys.
That's the summary of this episode.
I think it was an 8, simply based upon the amazing things that I got. Everything else, the actual Ahsoka part of the Ahsoka series, when it's present day Ahsoka stuff, same as all the others, really.
No, I would give it a 2, just because the only 2 things it gave me was it's great seeing Hayden again.
It really is.
It's great seeing him
It
again.
really is.
And
The choreography was better in this than everything else.
you know
funnily
why
enough.
I think? It's because you have Anakin, the guy who trained with the sword masters. He's like, oh, I'll just do my thing that, I got trained to do in the prequels.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? This is what I think is this was not as good as the prequels, the fights.
No.
But there was it felt as though he was using
I saw it. He used the same style. He was very aggressive.
Yeah, when you train that long, even if it's not for a real fight, even when you train that long, even 10 years later, you're still going to keep
It's
some of that
muscle
stuff.
memory.
Yeah,
So he's gonna.
so
keep
it looked pretty good. I was like, this looks better than everything else for sure.
And I just feel, I don't know, this is what I feel with a lot of Disney Star Wars stuff, is they'll give me snippets of things like a Luke Skywalker building the temple, but they won't actually give me the substance that I want. So we'll get this flashback of Anakin and Ahsoka, but I want a proper, I want Clone Wars live action.
Yeah.
And they've proven they can do it. But they're not going to do it because they'll ruin it somehow.
Because they hate Anakin and they hate live action Clone Wars. They hate Clone Wars.
And
they
the prequels, they weren't
exactly
good, but we'll make TV shows out of it and put little. See, there's things like that where it's like I felt all these confused emotions.
But would you not agree that we got more in this flashback than we've ever gotten in terms of
for sure,
That's what I mean.
We have,
Yeah.
but it's still scraps.
Kind of. And the reason why I say kind of is because it's not their show. It's not Anakin's show. So it would be weird if we had 2 episodes on Anakin doing stuff. And the obvious follow-up is, we'll make an Anakin show. Yeah, duh. I agree with this 100%.
But at the same time, Ahsoka was
remember when
his
we
Padawan, so it makes sense for them to be so intertwined.
yes, but remember when we got Mando in 2 episodes of Boba and everybody's like, why are we getting... These are good episodes, but why are we getting this in Boba?
Here's the thing. It's surprising they didn't do that for Ahsoka, because it would make more sense, because at least Ahsoka would be in those episodes. Unlike Boba Fett. We're fitting showed up more of those Boba Mando episodes that Boba did.
Well, I think they've learned their lesson from that. So now
Do you think? Because I don't think.
Yeah.
You know what? So, look.
Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed. And as always, stay on watch.